have that month declared as Child Abuse Prevention Month, both by presidential proclamation as well as gubernatorial proclamation. Here in a few minutes, we will go outside to plant 4,000 pinwheels. Each pinwheel represents 40 children under the age of 4 in Kentucky. And we want to draw attention to the positive things that are going on in our state. We hear a lot about rankings and things like that, but you all, there is so much good going on. And we want to draw attention. We've got 40,000 kids under the age of 4 with extreme potential in our state that will grow up to be politicians and scientists and reporters. And it depends on each of us to make sure that they achieve their potential. So first, as a board member of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky and as Attorney General and now as Governor, we greatly appreciate the support of Governor Andy Beshear and First Lady Brittany Beshear. And without further ado, I will turn it over to the Governor.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jill, for that kind introduction, but more than that, thank you for all of your and Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky's work over the years. Brittany and I have been proud to work with Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, including reading some children's books recommended by our own kids in your Kids Corner. Those moments are always so special. I want to recognize some leaders we have here with us today. Certainly, the prevention of child abuse is an all-in, every cabinet approach for Team Kentucky. So we have our Personnel Cabinet Secretary, Jarena Weathers, who's joining us today. Eric Friedlander from the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. We have our KSB Commissioner, PJ Burnett. We have our amazing First Lady, Brittany Beshear. We have our amazing Lieutenant Governor, Jacqueline Coleman. Somewhere out there, we have my senior advisor, Rocky Atkins. Department for Community-Based Services Commissioner, Lisa Dennis. WellCare Plan President, Corey Ewing. We have Christopher Hagan, who's going to share his amazing story with you today. We have Lily Rochelle, who is the Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky Board's Vice President. So, yeah. So to each of you that are here with us today in this state capitol, first, welcome. But second, thank you for what you're doing. I believe that you are living out your faith and values, that the protection of our children is one of the most important callings that each and every adult should feel across the Commonwealth. As the dad of 2 kids myself, there is nothing more important than protecting our children, not just our own children, but as responsible adults, we have an obligation to every child in this Commonwealth, this country, and my faith teaches me across the world. Scripture tells us children are a gift from the Lord. They are a real blessing. Notice that part doesn't say your children. It says children, meaning all children. Unfortunately, too many kids in this Commonwealth suffer from abuse and neglect, but we can all be a part of the solution, helping to support education and prevention. We need to invest in our kids, of course, and that means we also have to invest in our parents. That's why, as governor, I've stayed laser focused on those questions that keep our families up at night, that can increase their stress, and letting those families know they're not alone. That's what the team at Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky makes sure of every day, along with our child advocates. And how about our incredible social workers that are joining us here this morning? I am proud to be your ally in this work. As Attorney General, my office arrested a record number of child predators, and we trained thousands of Kentuckians to recognize, report, and prevent child abuse and human trafficking. I also created the Office of Child Abuse and Exploitation Prevention and worked with the Child Victims Trust Fund to provide grants to organizations that are doing God's work, and especially to cover the costs of those child abuse forensic exams. Because when we fail those children and they suffer from the worst of the worst abuse, it is our job to seek justice on their behalf, to put away their perpetrator, while also through our Child Advocacy Center starting that healing process that very first moment. While I was Attorney General, Brittany and I worked with community partners to open the Hope Gallery, a collection of artwork on display at the Capitol that features images created through art therapy, bringing in children from Maryhurst, Volunteers of America, and Silverleaf, giving them that moment at their state capitol where they could see they were the most important people in Kentucky. They got to have their own gallery opening, and their art hung in the Attorney General's office during my tenure to show everybody what we were truly about. That wasn't my idea. That was your First Lady. So let's give her a round of applause. And let me tell you, she works in this area with so many of you every day, and I'm proud of her work. Last year, Brittany spoke at the Blue Ribbon Ceremony to kick off Child Abuse Prevention Month, and she led a panel at a conference for the National Coalition for the Prevention of Human Sex Trafficking. That involved individuals that have been through the types of trauma that no one should have to live through. And again, I want to thank her for raising awareness and her continued incredible work. Thank you, Brittany. During my time as governor, I've had both the honor and the privilege to sign multiple bills into law that better protect our children. It's an admission that we can always do better, and we should find ways to do better. Until there are no children abused, until that number is zero, we ought to always consider this work that we need to do urgent work and act as quickly but also as wisely as possible. Bills I've been able to sign increase punishment for adults who possess, view, or distribute child pornography, that extend the statute of limitations for misdemeanor sex offenses against children, that strengthen background checks for employees and volunteers who work with children, and to increase the amount of time that incest offenders spend in prison. As governor, I was proud to announce a 10% raise for all our state social workers in December of 2021. On top of that, there's been an 8% raise in our last budget, and I signed into law an extra 6% raise going into effect in July. It's the least we can do for underpaid social workers. And both monetarily and morally, we owe our social workers. They are there for our families, and we as a state family need to be there for them. And whatever our jobs may be, even if we are not one of the incredible social workers in this room, we can all advocate for children. In a few minutes, we will plant 4,000 pinwheels to raise awareness about child abuse and make sure that Kentucky kids never have to go through it. And let me tell you, from somebody who's been in every pinwheel planting, I think for the past 8 to 10 years, look at this incredible crowd. This is the largest crowd we've ever had for a pinwheel planting. So today I am proud to support Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky as they launch the Lean On Me Pledge campaign. I believe that by leading by example, that we can all be proud of our work. So I'm going to take the pledge right now. Dear community, I, Andy Beshear, choose to be a community supporter available for you to lean on me. I ask each of you to take that same pledge. Be the person that kids can lean on. I'm acting on that pledge today because today in this rotunda, I'm going to sign 5 bills into law that will help protect our kids or get them back on a path towards prosperity. Following those bills, I will also, 2 of those bills at the end, are to improve our facilities in the Department for Justice. I'm grateful that the General Assembly has helped provide desperately needed funding that's going to help us do better. I hope you see in all that, I don't run away from our challenges. I run towards them. We are going to fix that system to better be there for our kids. We'll start with Senate Bill 229, sponsored by Senator Julie Rocky Adams. It strengthens reporting requirements when Kentuckians have reason to believe a child has been abused, neglected, or is a victim of human trafficking. Remember, reporting child abuse is the law for every adult across Kentucky. I know that we have some advocates that help work on that today, including Prevent Child Abuse in Kentucky. So, Jill, if you and your folks would like to join me, I'll sign that bill into law. Here we go. It's the 27th. Congratulations. I'm going to get some exercise for that. Each of the legislators that sponsored these bills were invited. None of them were able to be here today because it is their recess, but we are grateful to each and every one of them. House Bill 78, sponsored by Representative Kim Mantle, clarifies and expands the definition of incest to make sure people are protected from this hideous crime. Representative Banta could not be with us here today, but we have Commissioner Burnett, who represents law enforcement all across the Commonwealth, that will be enforcing this law and making sure that we secure justice for those children and that people who commit the most heinous of crimes are held responsible. I'm going to sign that bill into law. Senate Bill 80, sponsored by Senator Danny Carroll, ensures that a registered sex offender can't come within 1,000 feet of a high school, middle school, elementary school, preschool, publicly owned or leased playground, or licensed daycare facility. We're going to sign that bill into law. Thank you. I'm also going to sign today Senate Bill 162 and House Bill 3, two pieces of legislation related to our juvenile justice system. The state of that juvenile justice system is the result of decades of underfunding. Underfunding our people and underfunding our facilities. What we do today, it's not perfect. It contains about 70% of what this administration said that we needed to ultimately fix this problem. But I'm grateful of some things that it does contain. It contains the dollars to provide the raises to ensure that we can have sufficient staff levels at each and every one of these facilities. Understaffing, which has been occurring since pensions were eliminated, has been our biggest obstacle in those facilities. It also includes not all, but much of the money needed to renovate and reopen the Jefferson County downtown Louisville DJJ facility. I'll now sign those two bills into law.
I love that song. You should have a pen too.
Thank you to all the advocates here. As a parent, abuse is one of my biggest fears. We love our kids. Will and Lila are the two miracles in our lives. They are the reason that I chose to leave a private practice and run in the first place. Our kids, all of our kids, deserve a better world than they're living in right now. But I know all of the advocates here today work every day to try to create the world that our kids and all kids are worthy of. Thank you for the work you're doing. God bless you. God bless the children of Kentucky. Now, will you all join me? We're going to sign the official proclamation recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Kentucky. And I'll now turn it back over to Jill because this is her show.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for taking our pledge. I know Secretary Freelander is here. Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky works very closely with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, and we're pleased to introduce Secretary Eric Freelander.
I will observe the 5 B's that I was suggested. Be brief, brother, be brief. But so many good partners here, from our maternal and child health to Department of Community-Based Services, law enforcement, thank you, as well as personnel. We all take the pledge to be able to allow all our community partners to lean on us when they need help. That's what we're here for. We're here to support all of Kentucky. We're here to support all of Kentucky's children. And that's why we make the pledge. We work every day to make sure that those children who are abused or neglected have a place and have support so that they can improve their lives and live up to their full human potential, because that's what we want for ourselves. That's what we want for our children, our families, our communities. No exceptions for all. Thank you.
And he wasn't kidding. Thank you. So Commissioner Lisa Dennis leads the Department for Community-Based Services, and there's probably, in my opinion, no other department in the state who touches more lives than she does on a daily basis. And we are pleased to have her join us this morning for a few comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Beshear, First Lady Beshear, Lieutenant Governor Coleman, Secretary Freelander, for not only your leadership, but also your commitment and your compassion for protecting Kentucky's children. We know each of you have made children a priority throughout your careers, and we can't say thank you enough for that. I want to also say thank you to Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, who is a longstanding DCBS partner. Thank you for spearheading April's Child Abuse Prevention Month activities year after year and making a significant impact on our collaborative preventative efforts. The work of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky often gets recognized during months like April, but they are always here, working and educating and listening to our parents, our youth, and our advocates across the state, learning what they need to improve not just our service array, but also what our communities need to help create additional community connections. And that work has resulted in today's launch of the Lean On Me Kentucky initiative. DCBS has worked alongside Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky for almost a year on this initiative, and we are also very excited for today's launch. The Department for Community-Based Services is more times than not seen as the first line of defense for preventing child abuse. And that is our role as the lead child welfare agency for the state. But we all know that DCBS cannot do this work alone. We need all of you. We need all Kentuckians to join us in our efforts to prevent child abuse throughout the state of Kentucky. In addition to our roles of being mandatory reporters, we need all Kentuckians to join us in our efforts to also become community supporters and to help in the prevention of child abuse and to help with the prevention of child abuse in the first place. While we know there will be situations that call for immediate and swift intervention in order to keep a child safe, and DCBS takes the lead in those situations, we also know there are situations in which the family and the children's needs can be met through the community. And that is the intent of the Lean On Me Kentucky initiative, to bring awareness so each of us knows not only is it the big things like state agencies, funding, and policies that help keep kids safe, it's also the little things that each of us do every day, like making sure that your neighbors know how to reach you in case they need help, making sure that dads in your community know that they are one of the most important factors in ensuring positive outcomes for their children, making sure that you give a listening ear or a helping hand to someone in need. All these little things that we can do every day add up to supporting families and ensuring individuals at all levels of the community are involved in the important work of preventing child abuse. Again, that is why we are so very excited for today's launch of Lean On Me Kentucky, and as it will provide additional tools and resources to support our upstream preventative efforts. And before I wrap up, I see many DCBS staff here today, and to them, as well as all DCBS staff across all 120 counties of Kentucky, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all that you do each and every day to help keep Kentucky's children safe. And thank you for ensuring that initiatives like Lean On Me Kentucky become a reality as we work with our value partners across the state. Again, thank you, Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, for your partnership, which we deeply value. And thank you to all of you for putting children first.
Lisa, before you sit down, and Secretary Freelander, if I could ask Mary Carpenter and Krista Bell to come forward. This was going to be a surprise, but I thought better of it. I didn't want to take them off guard. So we've talked about the Lean on Me campaign, and this would not have happened without Krista's vision before she retired and Mary's continued support. So we have just a small token of appreciation, and if we could just pause a minute for pictures with the governor, if you don't mind. This is great. So these two amazing women have been great partners of ours and continue to be great partners. And I know that even though Krista is retired, she is still a great partner in everything we do. So thank you to each of you. Okay. This event could not happen without the support of one of our strongest corporate sponsors, WellCare, and we are pleased once again to have their support for events throughout the month of April. And now I will turn it over to the Kentucky Plan President, Corey Ewing.
Thank you very much. I will try to take Secretary Friedlander's lead and keep brevity in mind. So us here at WellCare, first and foremost, we are honored to be here with Governor Beshear and First Lady Brittany and Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky to really kick off the Child Abuse Awareness Month. In a few moments, you've heard a lot about the pinwheels outside. We'll get to see the 40,000 pinwheels representing all the children in the state of Kentucky. While most people will grow up never experiencing the physical and emotional pain of child abuse, 1 in 8 in Kentucky will. That is a jarring and heartbreaking statistic, and we know many more children are suffering at the hands of those they love. Child abuse is a tragedy that occurs in every corner of the Commonwealth, and at WellCare, unfortunately, we see the firsthand consequences of those cases of abuse and neglect every day. One example that I would like to share with you, we have a 2-year-old medically fragile child who was recently removed to his home due to neglect. And the only person that was willing to step up and protect this child was his great-grandmother, whose health is also failing. Our care team offered support by finding specialized care for the child and made sure the grandmother kept her own medical appointments. Part of our care plan is to make sure that his caregiver is well taken care of as well. We arranged transportation for both of them to make sure that they got to the care that they needed, and we enrolled this infant in a daycare made specifically for medically fragile children. The little boy started eating solid foods and is developmentally appropriate for his age at this point. The grandmother has received education on how to manage his conditions, and they're both safely living in her home. That is just one story among many, along with the immediate physical and emotional impact it has on the children. There are lifelong mental and behavioral health challenges this has on kids, extended family, the foster care program, the adoption program, healthcare systems in our communities across the Commonwealth. That's why we're a proud partner of Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky and organizations like theirs that work tirelessly to protect these vulnerable members and children. Ending child abuse takes all of us. Knowing abuse occurs daily in every corner of our state, we need to make changes to better the lives of these children. It's our duty. We have a responsibility to make sure that they're protected and in a safe environment every day. Often this child abuse is passed down generation to generation. We need to stop that now and break that cycle so that these victims of abuse today grow up to be the loving parents that we know they can be tomorrow. With that, when you're outside placing your pinwheel, I would just encourage you to think about what we can all do to prevent child abuse and take a moment to be grateful for organizations like Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky. Let's make Kentucky a better place for all of us to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey, and again, thank you for your continued support. We've heard about the Lean on Me campaign. It would not come to fruition without the help and assistance of some folks with lived experience who are featured in the toolkit. One of those individuals is Chris Hagens, and he is here this morning to share comments about his life's journey.
First, I would like to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. And I would like to thank the governor, First Lady, Lean On Me. Thank you, Krista, for even creating this possibility for me, because if it weren't for your words, your dedication, I wouldn't be standing here today. So thank you so much for your time and your hard work. Stories, cycles, and rebuilding. Just a couple of days ago, my father asked me a question about something coming up in the near future and what I was expecting in return. And one of the things that I told him in answering that question was that I am just a unique character in my own story that I did not choose to write myself. But I'm just trusting that God is going to use everything that I've been through to open doors and work for my good, because I did not choose to, and because I did not choose to be here, although if I could help it, I would have chosen a different route to become the man I am today. I know that all things will work for my good and for everyone that I'm connected to. Stories have a unique way of connecting the present with the past to inspire a particular future, with both bad and good outcomes. In my particular case, a huge part of my background, of my story, was the child welfare system and the abuse I experienced in it. I'll spare you the details, but I imagine a mother already, although very understandably, sacrificing her natural role and ability to nurture the baby she gave birth to because she was deemed unfit to care for him, just to turn around and find out that the hands of help he was placed in were just hands of hurt and pain, hiding to carry out their agenda of trauma. See, misplaced help can sometimes turn out to be worse than not being involved at all, because the things that we go through in the story of our lives can create cycles we live out for everyone to see, and nobody would have a single idea why. I went through physical, sexual, mental, and emotional abuse, and for a long time I couldn't understand why I was behaving a certain way until God opened my eyes. Seeking therapy, medicine, blaming myself for my life circumstances is the only foundation I was aware of at the time. But God has a way of using pressure to form diamonds. And now today I can stand and say that I have victory over the things that I've been through. I'm walking in the light of my calling, and my story is now being rewritten. Not having the true healing, help, and resources and focus that I needed as a child, especially from the child welfare system at the time, had a real impact on my life, because I saw too much of a one-size-fits-all approach on fixing the most complicated and deepest issues with no attention paid to the possible consequences of those actions. Even to this day, I can sense my family recovery from the torn ligaments of our relationships, and I'm doing what I can to mend things. Empathy very well could have kept us together and close and connected. It would have possibly allowed for me to heal properly while I was most vulnerable. In being aware and giving the strength to ask for help when needed, my feelings being acknowledged, and for the right support to be shown would have, for a fact, have changed the entire trajectory of my life and saved me from a great portion of suffering that, unfortunately, I was unable to avoid, but I am now fortunate, able to use to help others now that I have made it. So many other children are out there going through these same things I did, and are now getting their fresh batch of problems they didn't ask for in their stories that they'll have to be graced through in order to make it. It's time for us as a people, as a community, to do what we can in order to prevent what happened to me and my history from continuing, and refocus on rebuilding the old waste places and being restorers of the past to dwell in, so that the future of this country can be brighter than the surface of the sun for the generations that are coming up behind us. And while we are here, please, if you are able and willing to, please help me with my dearest cousin and her 5-month-old child who has not seen one day out of the hospital since he was born. This baby boy's name is Keon, and any donations to support him and his family can be sent to $KEYORADIXON. Let's create new stories, break the cycles, and rebuild the old waste places. God bless you.
Thank you, Chris, for sharing just a brief glimpse into your life story and where you are now. We appreciate it. And our last speaker is Lily Rochelle. Lily is the Vice President of the Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky Board, and you've heard about Lean On Me. We hope that you take the pledge. We hope that you pick up the toolkits. I hope you'll see the positive affirmation cards that we have, and I hope that you will continue to be that person that folks can lean on so that our families and children are supportive. Lily is actually go ahead. Lily is actually the mastermind behind the creative of the Lean On Me toolkit, and we asked her to share just a few words this morning.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you all. Yes, thank you so much, Governor, First Lady, Lieutenant Governor, Commissioner, and Chris. Yeah. Jill mentioned the toolkit. Please pick one up. We have several here. There's also a digital copy on the Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky's website. So hopefully everybody in the state of Kentucky will have access to this, and we're really grateful for the opportunity. As Jill mentioned, I am the Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky Board Vice President, but as the content creator, this project really appealed to me because the Commonwealth is my community. And Lean On Me stands for listening, empathy, affirmation, and non-judgment. I think we can all agree that we need a little bit more of that in our lives today. So this toolkit is really designed for you to be able to look at ways in which you as an individual, you as a leader, as an organization, how you can implement these ideals into your way of life. Please pick one up, give it a look, go on the website, look at the stories. You'll see Chris's stories and so many more. I want to also just give a shout out to my team at Mayhem Multimedia in Lexington. This has been a huge lift, and we've had a ton of fun, if that's the word we can use. And we've really enjoyed ourselves working on this project. So thank you so much for letting us do that. I also wanted to mention the pledge. I've taken the pledge. If you take the pledge today, you get a really awesome sticker. Everybody likes stickers. And I think that the governor is going to put his sticker on. Wonderful. Amazing. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you out planting pinwheels in the English garden. And I just want you to think, as was mentioned, I think by Corey, that if you are out there planting a pinwheel, think of other things that you're planting while you're planting that. What seeds are being planted in you as an individual to use listening, empathy, affirmation, and non-judgment in your life. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, Governor, First Lady, Lieutenant Governor, Corey, Commissioner, Chris, Lily, you all. We could not do our prevention work without each of you. And now we are excited. Hopefully there's no rain. The rain has held out for us. We will plant 4,000 pinwheels out the front door. And remember, each pinwheel represents 40 children in our state age of 4. And as you are planting them, please think of how you can be someone that those families and children can lean on. And remember that, and hopefully a community full of folks that want to be there for you too. A rotunda full, that's right. So thank you to each of you, and we'll see you outside.
All right.
Great job.